everybody, and this is Chaos with Chaos Esports Productions, bringing you another Bronze to Masters League Series game. Today we're going to be looking at a PvZ. So, we're going to go ahead and get right into this. I do have a couple announcements that I want to make. Unfortunately, I've been streaming quite a bit. I've been playing lots of games. Actually, I think I've played 50 total games since the season started, which was just last week. So, I'm not going to be able to cast all of them for my Bronze Masters League series, but I will definitely be bringing you some of the highlights from these games. Still am in Platinum, and yeah, I think that's all really I have to say. So, PvZ matchup, as we all have grown accustomed to, PvZ Build, so effective. I've only come up against a few games this season that I've been like, wow, this build is just ineffective against this. But other than that, it's a very, very nice build. It's very straightforward. Feel free to go check out some of my other PvZs where I talk about more of the details, but I kind of want to highlight on a few different things that you should be looking as Protoss players in this game, and just some key things to note. Now, one critical thing that you must note is how quick does your opponent take a third. This timing is actually very, very critical because it tells you whether or not your opponent is going to likely stay on two bases for longer, or if he is going to try and play more of a macro style game, get into the late game, because late game Zergs can just absolutely overpower everybody with insta max outs and whatnot. So gonna get in here, see the gas, see the spawning pool. Everything's looking good. Still haven't seen a third. Now I was really confused at this point because normally on two bases, Zerg really hardly ever go for double gas. So I was a little confused by that, and not having scouted a third or fourth gas. Usually, if they've got four gases, that could mean that it's going to be like an early muta push, but just seeing the two gases is a little kind of confusing. So definitely need to be cognizant of what our opponent is doing. Going to be getting down a couple more gateways, and then I think what I have grown more accustomed to with this build is I actually prefer to throw down the gateways before I throw down the robotics facility. Depending on what, like, if I do scout that really, really early third, which should be coming up anywhere from the 5:30 to 6:15 mark, you can actually pressure that a lot with like a 4-gate, and then back off, get your Colossus up, and continue on playing from there. So, also by being a little bit more aggressive on the upfront, your opponent is forced to make units, and when he's forced to make units, he's going to most likely just continue producing that type of unit and not tech up as quickly. So, just some interesting little caveat to this build. So yeah, basically going to be sitting back, getting my robotics facility up, and continuing on making things happen. We are going to speed this up because we send our probe out. I will go ahead and throw a pylon here before I scout the third, just in case it's not there. I can cancel the pylon and it's no big deal. Didn't want the Zerglings to scout this pylon, so we come up here, bring a few units. Now, instead of going towards the natural and up this ramp, which would have been quicker, I chose to go around because, obviously, if he's got a lot of units sitting here, they can easily pick off, you know, what's charging up. And by going around this way, I've got enough force fields that I can force field this ramp and recall before I lose anything. So, just continuing on getting Immortals. We haven't really seen his composition, so we don't want to like commit to getting too many Immortals, but we still want to get a few. These guys are just chilling out doing their thing, not sure why. And then finally we back off. So we've effectively taken out the third. We haven't really seen any pressure, so we're pretty certain that he's going to be trying to counter and do something, because if he just sits back and just plays it out as is, that's a lot of resources that he spent trying to get his third, and he's just going to be significantly behind for the rest of the game. And obviously at this point we really haven't had an opportunity to scout upgrades or things like that. So we did go for a fairly early +1 and getting up our armor. Twilight Council is down, Robotics Base going down to get up our Colossus and tech up. Now, I believe, if I remember right, I did try to poke in here a little bit and saw the roaches, and at that point I just backed off. And since we know he's going Roach Hydra, we are very, very confident in going straight into Colossus and, you know, start producing, you know, 3 or 4 Colossus right from the get-go. Obviously, we need to be worried about a tech switch over to Spire, because a Spire tech switch obviously is going to mean he's got Corruptors, and Corruptors means we probably should have Archons as opposed to Colossus. Also, definitely want to get up them Storms, so I do have the Templar Archives already down, because I was in a fairly decent position at this point. So yeah, basically, once we feel comfortable, we take our third, we block off the back ramp, so in case he does come, we have enough time to recall and get over here. And we're just kind of posturing outside of our natural. Now, he chooses to come in here, which is actually not a terrible idea, but I do have, what, 8, is that 16 force fields almost? Yeah, so I almost have 16 force fields, which is a really high number. Generally speaking, at this point in the game, 4 sentries is really adequate. You don't really need too many more than that. If you do get a couple more, it's not the end of the world, but obviously it's going to delay tech and things of that nature. So, going to slow this down so we can get into this engagement. Now, I do have 1 Colossus out. He has a fair amount of Lings, and I'm very, very Zealot heavy. Charge is not quite finished, so this is not really a great engagement for us, especially considering our Stalkers are in front, but we continue on anyways. We get some really decent force fields off where we kind of leave like 1 small hole here and then 1 small hole here and here. So basically he's got minimal units attacking us, which gives our Zealots enough time to figure out what they're doing and get to the front of the battle. Now, one really cool trick that you can do is once you do get up these force fields, if he doesn't immediately pull back, you can actually force field just behind your first force fields, and it allows you to like clump up sets, you know, little boxes of units. I mean, there's like six units just kind of chilling out in here, which makes easy sniping for the Colossus. They can literally just poke in there and do lots of damage. So, in general, this engagement went really, really favorably for us, so we're feeling pretty good about it. Our +3 is on the way. He is on +2 at this point, and our +2 armor hasn't quite kicked in yet. But looking very good. Should be getting guys into gas here shortly. Storm's almost done. And yeah, at this point, you know, we're in a very, very favorable position. Now, if I remember right, I don't think, yeah, I haven't scouted whether or not he's taken this expansion or not, which is a little bit of a bummer on my part, but he took it so late that it put him immensely behind, and he really couldn't recover from it. He kind of tries to poke in down here and do a little bit of a harassment, but we've got enough stuff that we can just, you know, send him off. Getting up our 4th base because we're feeling pretty good. Our main base is almost mined out, so that's kind of the main reason. And then, well, let's go ahead and back it up just so you can see the engagement, and we can see how the force fields were. Okay. Let's slow it down. So, force fields, probably not the best, but, I mean, they still get the job done. Basically, half of his army couldn't retreat, so he couldn't pull them back, and then it just lines up our Colossus to deal with the Hydras. Now, on his perspective, he should have switched over to Spire a lot earlier than he did, because I really didn't have, I think I had like 2 Templar at the beginning of that fight, and I really didn't have a whole lot to make Archons, so I think that probably would have been beneficial for him. I mean, he's not floating too terribly much money, so... but yeah, overall, I think this game was played out really well. Feel free to let me know what you guys think about the build. I'd really love to hear some feedback overall about PvZ in general and what you guys are struggling with, so I can maybe highlight on some of those things in my future videos. Really would love to know what you guys think. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitch. I stream these games live. We had a lot of fun. A handful of guys were there the other day. Tuesdays and Thursdays seem to be my best days for streaming, so as long as you just check back in Tuesdays to Thursdays, around 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm usually, that's kind of when I'm streaming. So feel free to check me out there. Also, feel free to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Always looking to help other people improve their game. Feel free to send me your replays, and I will do a viewer cast of your game and help you out a little bit. So yeah, I think that's more or less it. I do want to say thank you guys for paying attention. I do enjoy all the comments. I've gotten quite a few comments over the past couple days, and I really enjoyed hearing what you guys have to say. So yeah, keep it up, and I will see you guys next time.